Hi, this is Stan Bush.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calvert.
This is John Payne.
This is Jack Hughes.
Hey everyone, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen.
Hey everybody, this is Prescott Niles.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevens.
Hello, I'm Kofi Baker.
You're listening to Play That Rock and Roll.
This is not a test. This is Play That Rock and Roll. I'm your host, Joe K., and today our guest is Michael DeBar. Michael has a new album out, which is a collection of glam rock covers called It's Only Rock and Roll. If you're not familiar with Michael, he was in several bands in the 70s and 80s, including Silverhead, Detective, Checkered Past, and even the Power Station. Yeah, this guy played Live Aid, an incredible music career. And in addition to that, he's also an actor who has appeared on over 100 TV episodes, including a recurring role on the hit series MacGyver. And now he is a radio host. You can hear him on Little Steven's Underground Garage on Sirius XM Channel 21. And I'm just scratching the surface. If you want the full story on this guy, I would recommend checking out a recent documentary that was made about him called Who Do You Want Me to Be? That was released in 2021, and subscribers to this channel might remember that I reviewed that documentary when it came out. And it's a great documentary. I highly recommend it. Today we are here to talk about his new album, which is a collection of cover songs that he recorded in celebration and tribute to the glam rock scene that he came out of with his band Silverhead. In this interview, we talk about what drove him to release a new album and the songs he included on it. He also shares his memories of being friends with David Bowie, appearing on Miami Vice, and oh yeah, that time he performed on stage with a live tiger. Yeah, that actually happened. Plus, he teases some ideas for what might become his next project. You can learn more about the album on his website, michaeldebar.com, and you can also find him on Facebook and Instagram, at mdebar. And you can listen to him on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 11 and 9 p.m. till midnight Eastern Time on Sirius XM Channel 21. And with that, here is my interview with a man of many talents about his latest album, It's Only Rock and Roll, Michael DeBar. Today we are here with singer, actor, radio host, jack of all trades, Mr. Show Business, Michael DeBar. Michael, it is so great to meet you and have you on the show. Thanks for being here today.
Well, I've made a business out of showing myself, I suppose. You know, I mean, I don't even know what you know, it's so funny, show business. I've never thought of it like that, really. I'm just showing off. I'm just another kid in the playground, you know, with a fake gun.
Yeah.
And trying to kill the star, you know. And I've done 110 episodes of trying to kill people on telly. I mean, you know, I think I deserve an Emmy at least.
Yeah, you think you would have got at least one of those main characters, but what are you gonna do? You know,
I just got lucky, and I feel great. How you doing, everybody out there?
I am doing great. I'm doing great because I've been listening to your new album, It's Only Rock and Roll, which includes so many of my favorite songs. Performed in a really impressive way. As I was saying before we got started here, I've been following you on social media for the past couple of years, and I notice every time you post up a new single or an EP or a cover version. You did a great version of "Gotta Serve Somebody" a couple of years ago, but this is a new album all the way through. It's a full-length
yes,
album.
It is. Yes.
First one in a while. What made you decide to put it on record?
Rock and roll is dead.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, well, wait a minute, that's no good. And I thought, it's true, it suddenly came to me in a dream, really. What would I do? How could I bring that back in some way? And I thought, well, I chose these 12 songs, all of which are very important songs. So they might sound like pop songs, Love is the Drug and Roxy and all of that, and Fox on the Run, which is out there right now. They're all songs that are exquisitely written. The chord changes, the voices, the harmony. I thought I'd strip it down. I've always believed in guitar, bass, and drums and a singer. I've never believed in horns and congas and girls and all of that. I'm not interested in them on stage, at least.
Yeah.
So, because in all reality, when you think about rock and roll, I think about Elvis. That's why I have him there.
Great photo.
As you can see.
Oh, yeah.
And because that's guitar, bass, double bass, and drums and a vocalist. And I thought that was great. And that's Zeppelin, and that's Free, and that's Bad Company, and that's all of the bluesy bands, Stevie Marriott, all of the bands that I loved, were the simplicity of that. So I did it, and somehow it broke through. I didn't care. I don't need the, shall I say, the money, to this. The thing about that is that I just wanted to make a great record which was fun for you. I mean, you're a guy who clearly has got 1,000 albums.
Oh, yeah.
And probably more. And, and you've got all those records in there. So you can say, well, this chapter of my life, I'm going to play, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And those so-and-sos, which is a great band name, by the way,
yeah,
I would think, are very important. And suddenly young musicians started to, come back at me, as they do anyway. But in this case, they were going, oh, man, those songs are so good, Maybe we should stop being so carnal or so machismo rock and roll. It's bullshit. Rock and roll is set. What does it mean? What does it mean? What's happening with rock and roll is below your waist. That's, I mean, and if you're gonna do it cute, do it smart, do it clever, do it right, and your partner will be much happier.
This project reminds me of something that's not sonically similar, but something you might get a kick out of. Neil Young did a rockabilly record in the mid-'80s, and he said in a documentary that was his effort to go back and find out what rock and roll was really all about. And, and he explored the origins. And I've always appreciated that record because I thought it was like a history lesson, an entry point for younger fans to find the broader genre. This album does a little bit of that, too. I mean, like, if someone didn't know the glam rock scene, this is a killer starter kit.
Yeah, because glam is a strange word.
Yeah.
You've got all these bands like Feel and all of these guys that look exactly like Led Zeppelin's roadies. And, and they think they're getting it right, but the vocalist in particular is creating a kind of a robot.
Yeah.
Out of Led Zeppelin, and all of Feel fans, I don't know how many there are, I only use them as a judgment of like, do your own stuff, sing with your own voice and play that guitar. I mean, Buddy Holly's very different from Little Richard, but they're both rock and roll artists. So be yourself. I only use them. I think they're great. I mean, the guitar plays, okay, and good, and youngins seem to be digging it, but it looks like a performance to me. The thing about the great bands is they don't look like they're performing. If you think about rock and roll, I think of Keith. Do you think Keith is putting on an act? No. Or Stevie Marriott? What do you think? Oh yeah, right at the end of the song, what I'll do is I'll jump up on the Marshall amp, and then I'll jump down, and then I'll throw myself in the, let's do that. I mean, is that what it's becoming? Is that rock and roll? I mean, the terrible thing about this for me is I feel like a grandfather going, Bill Haley was really something. It was the bass and the thing, and it was right. I mean, so it's like, I don't mean to feel like that. I'm just saying, be yourself, and guitar, bass, drums, and a singer. That's all you need. You don't need congas, you don't need any electronics. If you want to do electronics, be my guest. I'm only appealing to a very small minority that's dying.
Yeah, and I mean it's right in the title. It's only rock and roll. It's a sarcastic statement, but it's also very truthful, and it gets to the heart of the matter of why we like that stuff. You know, it's
Yeah,
raw, you know, and it's real.
yeah. It's I hope so. I mean, a lot of people have been enjoying it, and youngins have been saying, "I've never heard this.
Ah,
Who are the Sweet? Where are they? Are they playing around town? Are they? They don't know who they are.
right.
And all of the other acts are pretty well known, but even then, they're not particularly played,
Yeah.
except by us at Little Steven's Underground Garage, where we deal with the history of blues and rock and roll and soul music, and me every day, 3 hours listening to this music, finding new ways to describe it, to put it in a perfect place where perhaps they'll enjoy it more if they have more information about it. So that took me into think, well, the real thing you can do, Michael, is do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that was ballsy because I hadn't done anything like that in a few years. I've done a couple of records for Stevie, but and it was really fun. Just going in the studio, I have my own, and I go in there and I sing, and it's great. But it's also got dust on the on the chairs because I'm not in there that often. But now they all want me to do the 50s. They want me to do the 60s. They want me to do the 80s. They want me to do the 90s.
Well, I see that as like, you're the perfect person to do this kind of thing because, you have such a wide depth of knowledge with your radio show. You are introducing not just the music, but the stories behind the stuff. So yeah, like why not put together these like sampler packs of the best stuff of these eras and these scenes. And this one in particular, this is one that you were in. You were a part of this. Silverhead was, out of that early 70s glam rock scene. And so what I wonder about these songs that you picked, what are the sort of memories that come up for you? Like, did you used to play some of these songs with Silverhead?
Wild sex.
Yeah.
Essentially.
All right.
That's what they remind me of, is doing lots of coke and having, a wild physical life. I was 20, 19, and the thing about us being glam is okay. But I wore mascara for 6 weeks without taking it off. You know what I mean? And don't have Bowie-esque attendees. I think like your eyebrows are absolute. Wait,
Yeah.
better, much better. We didn't even. We went splash. And then it was naked and it was raw. And look at that band. It's amazing, that band. We didn't give a shit about anything other than having a good time. And isn't that what rock and roll is meant to be?
I think so.
What is it? Meditation? I don't meditate when I listen to All Shook Up by Elvis. Hold please, hang on. Can we read a little Krishnamurti before we play any rock and roll? Okay, do that. And then go into some sort of, because all of that was going on side by side. So, because you had that whole interest in, the wonderful magic of telepathy. And I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about velvet trousers.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and then I suddenly thought, decades later, because I'm 170 now, and I'm going, listen, man, I still weigh exactly the same as I did when I was 20. My cheekbones are even higher. Give me a break. Yeah, I'm going to bring you some music. It's going to blow your mind, and it has. And I say that non-egoically. I could care less as long as people are enjoying it. That's all I care about.
Well, what captures that whole vibe that you broke down is the album cover for this new record. Like that captures the absolute vibe of a wild, unhinged rock 70s pub gig. Do you remember what gig that was from?
I absolutely remember it. That's why I used it, because what people don't understand is there was no security.
Yeah.
So anybody could get into that dressing room. Now, that gig was at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And I remember it, I remember the moment. and then the photographers kept that memory. But there were so many other things going on. I had a tiger up there, dude.
Wow.
I had a tiger on stage with me because there was this tiger. It's a long story. Do you know about this story, the tiger?
No, please.
I had a
You got time.
tiger. We get off the plane from London to LA. We go to the Rock and Roll Hotel, whose name escapes me. Thank goodness. There's a limo outside with a tiger in the back. I'm not kidding. The driver's drunk. And I thought, we're playing the Whiskey a Go-Go. I'm going to go ask her if I can, borrow his tiger, which is the title of my autobiography, obviously. And I went and I said,
there's a metaphor there.
yes, and he was drunk, and so he said, yeah, sure. It was the star of a TV show called Daktari. I'm not kidding. The early 70s in America for children, this tiger. So yeah, we got him into the hotel. No security, hotel, up to my room. All of the 5 guys all had their rooms together. That's the way we did it, with doors that we could all get into each other. So this orgiastic rock and roll journey would be, we'd do together. And I had that tiger, and I took him on stage. There's photographs of me with that tiger. And what does it do? In the first song, it takes a shit. Right in front of the bass drum. I said, that's where I'm standing. How could you do that to me?
Yeah.
But you know what happened? That girl it's holding me looking up like this is the girl. What she did was she turned around, she grabbed a bouquet of flowers from her friend and put it in the shit.
Art.
That's the most rock and roll moment I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Or ever felt. This is breaking every conceivable rule in the book, because the tiger, God rest his soul, and I understand this, the guy was feeding her drugs so she wouldn't kill everybody. So all that was going on in my mind, it would make a great chapter in the book.
Well, it sounds like the tiger was just experiencing what a lot of people in the audience might have been experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was an incredible moment in my life. I mean, and because you talk about rock and roll, you can't even get close to a lot of the acts, and if you do, they're jumping over each other and banging into each other, and the girls in the front are absolutely squashed and all of that stuff. In those days, it was different, man. As I said, no security. The kids were great, and they loved each other. And we used to go to Rodney's, Bingenheimer's place and all of that. And, and yes, stuff went on that shouldn't have gone on. Absolutely. That's true. And I believe that to be true. But when you weigh 120 pounds and you're wearing makeup and, leopard skin trousers, and you do a gig in Atlanta, and you come out, and there's these beautiful girls waiting for you and their boyfriends.
Oh boy.
Right? Who are all 6'3" and weigh 360 pounds and come at you. The problem with that was that those boys in Silverhead all carried weapons. So when they came to it, because we'd been through this 1,000 times, we're all dressed like girls. And out come the knives. And they took one look at these big ass, football players, and a knife is under their nose, and they just all ran. And the girls were going, "This is a movie. This is totally the most romantic rock and roll movie." And that happened on a number of occasions, which created a vibe about that band that we were together and we were going to protect each other. And everyone on stage, if somebody, broke a string, the other one would go get it. It was a really close-knit bunch of extraordinary guys.
Well, I think what you're talking about here is why many of us love this era of rock and roll and don't necessarily connect with the stuff today, because what you're describing is like rock and roll danger. Real dicey situations that's exciting. And yeah, there's reasons why you can't have that stuff go on today. But looking back on it and seeing old videos and old photos and hearing these stories, it is so exciting to hear, and you can hear some of that stuff on record. So it must be amazing to have lived through that and been a part of it.
It was an incredible time to be alive, for sure, because it hadn't happened before. You'd have girls screaming at the Beatles and stuff, and so they should, and I still do. But the reality is that we played clubs. We were never a huge band. We opened for Deep Purple and we opened for big bands, but because there's a disconnect between you and those kids, there's a big orchestral thing in front of you which they can't get over. And so we couldn't have, because I would jump in the audience all the time, and be carried around. And this is 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was very, very different situation than it is today.
Right.
But I'm just trying to really concentrate on the music, of getting the right chords, hitting a bridge here and then a couple of verses here, and and try and make it so it really sounds good. All of those songs on the album are beautifully written.
Yeah, like when it comes to the songs, the standout track on the album for me was Moon Age Daydream. I'm a huge Bowie fan, and hearing you sing that song in a really effective way, it was kind of bittersweet because, like, I feel there's some of us who don't believe the world has been right since he's been gone.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, and so and it's just like, what was it bittersweet for you to record that song? How important was it to?
I looked upon it as an homage.
Yeah.
More than sadness. His brilliant theatrics, because that's what they are. They're controlled theatrics. I know because I used to do mime with him. Way before he was thinking of becoming a rock star. We'd be doing all things that he did. All of that, and he was an actor, and he chose which character he'd play. And in particular, that song is it's about the Stones. It's about the Beatles. Listen to the words. It's an absolutely brilliant song. Freak out in a Moon Age Daydream. And that means that you're in a fantasy world. And in a sense, I was in a fantasy world.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole scene. When you record a song like that is by such a big artist, just as a singer, do you get does it drive you to bring your best? Does it make you a little nervous to make sure you hit everything, or what's your approach?
I stopped being nervous when I was 13.
Oh, that's a lot of us haven't figured that out yet.
I don't ever put myself aside anybody, because they're the greats. I mean, what are you going to do? Elvis, Bowie, to even pretend to be on that level. But inside, I'm on that level. And the level is truth, is what you believe. If you take a good actor, you take Terence Stamp or any of the great, 1960s actors, Jimmy Dean, of course, much earlier, but they're not acting. The word acting is actually awful. That's why I hope the Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet, is going to be cool. I don't know. It's hard to play a god.
Yeah. It's a tall order.
Yeah, so I don't get. I mean, I sang because I had a great time doing it, and we did it in 5 days.
Wow.
So that's 12 songs, 5 days, mixed and ready to go.
Well, I know you had a pro lineup of absolute great players. Can you talk a little bit about who these people were who back you up on this record?
Certainly. Eric Skirmer horn on guitars, Iggy Pop's guitar player. Need I say more? And the rhythm section is, brilliant. Paul Hill on bass and David Goodstein on drums. And they're in R&B, for Linda Perry's music, all of the artists that she, know about. And she's a brilliant producer, but I worked with her a little bit. And that rhythm section blew my mind. I thought, well, if I get like an Iggy vibe with that kind of power with an R&B rhythm section, that's colorful. I mean, that's going to be good. And if you really listen to the record, every single note they're playing is perfect. It's simple. It's perfect. His solo at the beginning of it, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the Roxy Music song. His solo at the end of that song, "Love Is the Drug," is so fantastic and so pure and so guitarish, and that was the first song we cut.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, doing this album, because these are established songs, you can't just, replicate what's been done. You have to make them your own for this project to really be worthwhile to fans, and you absolutely have. I mean, your voice comes through very strongly here. Your players are great, and they sound, like they pay tribute to the original songs, but they sound different. They sound their own. How
Yeah.
do you thread that needle of making the songs recognizable, but at the same time being Michael Des Barres songs?
How many times do you think Hamlet's been played?
More than I can count. Well, there you go. Well, all right. So the album is available for digital download right now. Are there physical releases coming?
You know how many times I've heard that expression?
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, there's a lot of things happened in these last 2 weeks, Joe. A lot of people want me to make a lot of records,
Yeah.
because the decades of these songs I can really do justice to, and I can't really tell you what's next, but what's next is fucking awesome. I mean, it's just people's response to it, because I'm not showing off or anything like it. What it is, I think, as I said about the Hamlet thing, Hamlet is Hamlet. That's 500 years ago. How many people have played Hamlet? How hard is Hamlet? How beautiful is Hamlet? How many times can I play a song? As many times as I want. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to me. If I want to play that song, I'll play that song. God knows I can. I mean, it's perfect that I'm in a place where I can do that just financially. But one has been approached.
Oh, good. Well, I can tell you, just as a fan, the reason why I hope to hear more from you in the future is because I know that you know this music. I know that you have such a breadth of knowledge that you're going to pick the right songs and you're going to play them right. You're going to give them the right presentation that they deserve. You're going to do them justice. So that's what attracts me to the project. I think you did a great job. I mean, seriously.
Thank you. Well, I love the fact that you got exactly what I want to hear, which is, we're reintroducing songs that are really, really terrific. And I've done all of the 50s and 60s and the 80s. I've written them all out. I've got each 12 songs for each decade that I think absolutely, of course one could have 30, 50, 60, but 12 seems to be appropriate. And you can get the point across if you know the music. I play this music every day for 10 years on the radio. So I've heard as many songs. Stevie's the same. Stevie Van Zandt, my boss, as it were, is the same thing about music. He knows every single note in every single solo anybody ever played, to say nothing of the lyric.
Right.
You've got to live and breathe that stuff to really make it work. And what happened to me suddenly, these 12 songs that you like and other people like, is because I knew them really well, and those guys knew them really well, these songs, and it gives it a freshness. It's like smelling a beautiful flower, and that flower will always smell divine, is how I look upon this whole beautiful project.
Absolutely. Well said. And, one of the things that we talk a lot about on this show is really just keeping this classic era of rock and roll alive. And that's why I like celebrating projects like this, because for older fans who know the songs, it's familiar territory and it's fun. But more importantly, for younger fans who might not know the genre as a whole, it's a great entry point because it's curated and presented by someone who was there,
Yeah,
who knows?
The greatest art that I look at and do myself is I just take essential, flashes with that brush. Every brush splash has to mean something. So when we did this record, we took away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That was there. There was harmonies, and there was actually 3 guitars being played. No, one take, guitar, bass, drum, singer. That's it. They all knew it. So it was a challenge. Everybody always think, oh, I mean, anybody can play that. Well, anybody can play, Tchaikovsky. If you learn how to use a violin, doesn't mean you're doing it well. You're scratching away playing, some complicated thing. It was so simple because we said to each other, let's just play it, play it. Let's enjoy it, fellas. The A minor, I don't care about the A minor. I care about how you're breathing. It's way more important, and it turned out that way. It was just a blissful thing,
And that vibe absolutely comes through in those songs. So congrats on the album. Before we get out of here, I hope you'll indulge one fan question for me. As we were saying before we got started, your buddy Don Johnson just had his birthday yesterday, and you've been in a couple episodes of Miami Vice.
Three. God damn it.
Three.
Yeah.
Three. A lot of people couldn't even get on one,
Yeah.
But the famous one, of course, the most famous one is you in the Power Station doing "Get It On."
We came up with this idea that it would be great to have "Get It On" playing on in the background. And when we came up with that song for the show, I said, I know those guys. Why don't we get them in the scene?
Tell me about being on that show back in that day. I mean, that was the coolest show on TV. What do you remember about it, and how cool was it?
Well, I'd known, Don for 50 years.
Oh, yes.
I met him in London, when he was this really gorgeous looking guy and everybody wanted him. And it was a tough town, London. It's a tough town to get a job. It's like the rock and roll business too, was very, very sort of killers, man. They were killers out to get you, and you know what I'm talking about, you guys out there. But he's a tough guy, a strong guy. And he was my friend, and I think the best story I can tell you is the first season, within 3 episodes, he was Elvis. I mean, he was just Elvis. He was just a superstar after 3 episodes. Oh my God, who is this? So he came back to LA, did it in Miami, obviously. He came back to LA just to go for a walk and just try and understand what was happening. That was the most ridiculous thing, because everybody, every single man, woman, child, dog, elephant, you name it, that came anywhere near him was screaming.
Oh, wow.
And they trod over me to get to him. It was a disgrace. I was so jealous and laughing, and he's going, oh my. And he, you know what he did? Just sit there. Like it happens every day.
Yeah.
Because he was always that confident. And I will tell you guys out there, confidence is everything. It's not something that's rude, or you're saying you're the greatest, or it's egoic or egotistic, or anything like that. If you feel you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do. It's as simple as that. So you guys that want to go out there and play some great music, start simply. And maybe, you'll get into more difficult and expensive music. But Don Johnson stood there like Sonny fucking Crockett. And it was unbelievable. And that's what I would recommend anybody who's a newcomer.
Wow, what an awesome story. And what a great note to go out on. That's a life lesson right there. It's just lean in and be confident. You've led by example your whole career, so it has been, I got to say, the album is great. It's been so much fun revisiting these songs, and it's also been really fun to talk to you. Like I said, seeing you on social media, you're one of the few people who uses social media right, like you're positive. There's so many people who are just negative all the time, so I appreciate what you do. And Michael, it has been a really fun talking with you today. Thank you.
It's fun talking with you, Joe. You obviously know your stuff, and that's such a relief, because then one can get to the things that, people hear and listen and learn, hopefully, or laugh. I'm not here to teach. I'm here to entertain. So all of these stories are real, but the truth of the matter is, be yourself. Everybody else is taken.
That's great. All right, Michael. Well, thank you very much, man. This has
Peace
been
and
awesome.
love, man. Peace and love.
Hey, thanks for listening. There's no shortage of great content out there, so you choosing to spend some time listening to this show means quite a lot. If you're so inclined, please give this podcast a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. and share our links wherever you can. Or mention this show to anyone you know looking for a podcast recommendation. All of this helps us out a great deal, and I appreciate it. You can connect with us on social media too. We are at Play That Podcast on Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and even TikTok. Or we are at Play That Rock and Roll on YouTube and Instagram. Please post a comment and say hello. Finally, Play That Rock and Roll is a proud member of the Pantheon podcast community. So if you're looking for more music podcasts beyond this one, trust me, start with Pantheon. You won't be disappointed. Otherwise, I appreciate any and all efforts you take to support us here at Play That Rock and Roll. Be sure to join us next time for more great music and stories from the world of classic rock.